Hey guys, so today I'm going to be making another house for my Laloloopsy dolls. This started because I have to make an interior design project in which I have to make a model chair, so that's what I'm doing. We had to take a personality quiz and I got contemporary, so I'm making a contemporary themed house. So today you'll be seeing part of the living room, just the chairs, but they're styled to be contemporary. Anyway, I would like to apologize for two things. Thing number one is I'm sorry for not posting an actual doll-related craft for quite a while. Second thing, this is a really long video and I would like to apologize for that. It's over 15 minutes long. And that kind of sucks a lot. But you don't have to watch it all in one go. You can pause it and come back later. Whatever works for you. But it's been a long time since I've had to be on camera crafting, so I wasn't as good this time as I used to be. It'll take me a while to warm back up to it, it'll take me a while to get back into my normal pattern, but once I do, videos won't be as long, and there will be more editing and whatnot. But anyway, I hope you guys like it. Leave your suggestions down below, because I'll be making an entire new house for my Laloloopsy dolls. So, thanks for watching, and without further ado, let's start with the living room. Alright, so as stated before, I'm making this house for Laloloopsy dolls. So I have my first box that I'm using, and I have my Laloloopsy model, just to make sure everything ends up being the size I need it. But my first thing is to open up the box I'm using. And that's not working with me at the moment. And then, there you go. Alright, so my next step is going to be to bring up the picture I'm using for the chair. I had to think of what it was called. But you can use a sketch or a picture. Currently, I'm using a picture, and I have to sketch it out eventually, but yeah. The first thing I'm going to do is make the seat. So I'm going to sit my doll out like this, and also grab a roller. But I'm going to start by making her legs out almost all the way. And I'm sorry, I don't want it that way. That's a little better. Just like this. And I'm going to use the ruler to straighten out those lines. So this side is going to be the back, and that's the front. But this is going to be a little more rounded out. Just like that. And then I think that's about it. So I'm going to cut along this line here and then come up on this rounded part. Alright, so now I have that cut out and it works pretty well. If I turn it this way so you can actually see it, the way I have it is set up so it's longer than her feet sitting this way. But I'm going to trace several more of these out on more cardboard and cut them out and stack them. I don't know how many I need yet, but when I do know, I will tell you guys. Alright, so I'm making 2 chairs, so I have 16 pieces, but that means there is 8 pieces per chair. I'm making 2 chairs, so my living room for the dolls is symmetrical, but if you want, you only have to make 1 chair. But I'm going to go ahead and glue all of them together, making sure the last piece is turned over like this, so when you're done, everything is the easy paintable cardboard instead of the design side is up. Alright, so I have both sets glued together, but the next thing I'm going to do is take another piece of cardboard with a flat edge and line 1 foot up with it, kind of, and mark where her leg connects to the rest of her body. So that's right here. And I'm going to draw a straight line across because this tells me how high I need to make my legs of the chair, because this is how high it is going to sit off the ground. So I went and got some toothpicks because that's what I'm going to use for the 2 back legs. And I'm going to use the line that I drew here and put this at the angle that I wanted. This is the way that goes. There we go. And then I'm going to mark it. And I'm going to cut across that line, and I'm going to repeat it 3 more times because I need 2 for each chair. Okay, so I cut all 4 of my toothpicks down to size, and then I filed them using a hard grit nail file. But on each one point points this way, so the point, like the highest point is up here, and then down here the highest point is down. So it's sitting like this. And so that way when it's sitting on the floor, it also sits even with the chair, and the leg angles backwards. The next step is to paint all of them. I'm doing gray, and then I'm covering it with a layer of glue to make it shiny because it's supposed to be metal. The way I'm going to do this is taking a clothespin and pinning the edge, so that way I can paint it and stand it up, let it dry, and then flip it around. While I was waiting for my original back legs to dry, I drew out a design for the front legs. And again, this will be sitting about here, but the plan is for it to wrap all the way around. On each side, we have one here, and then we'll have to make the back piece. But right now, I'm starting out with 3 for each side. And then I'm planning on cutting them at different lengths so I can stack them and then glue on the back piece separately. I have to make the back piece and then show you what I mean because it sounds really confusing without an actual piece to show it. Okay, so at the moment I have the 2 legs just kind of taped on so that way I could figure out how to do the back. And I've taken this longer piece of cardboard that is the same length as this. The same width, sorry. And you have to make sure that when you measure it though, you have to hold these apart so they stay where they're supposed to. But eventually, I got to a place where it's roughly here and here for a back like this. And I'm going to cut that, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Using the measurements from before, I made 3 back pieces. One of them is the exact length that I measured out, and the other 2 are a little bit longer. On each one, I added 1/8 of an inch on each side. This is so that gluing together is a lot easier. Now, I have 3 pieces for each leg. But because it's on one chair, I only need 3 of the back pieces. I'm going to select 2 pieces from each of the legs, and I'm going to cut 1/8 of an inch off of each one. I'll show you why in a minute. Alright, so I plugged my hot glue gun back in because now that I've cut the edges off, I need to glue the legs together. So I'm going to attach all of them, and for me, I'll have it like this, so that the one that isn't cut is in the middle. Alright, so I already had part of this recorded, and I realized something stupid that I forgot to do. You're going to want to bend the back part first before you start gluing, and you're not going to want all 3 pieces together when you start gluing, but again, I messed up a little bit. So I'm going to separate these. There we go. Okay. So this little hang-off piece on the arm, the leg, I guess, the arm and leg. It's kind of both. I'm going to bend it back so that way I can just attach this straight onto it and it should hopefully bend. But I'm going to stick some glue in here. And then just go like this. And I'm gonna burn my finger, but you should not burn your finger. It's the goal here. Okay. And then we're gonna do the same with the next piece, but I'm gonna bend this first. Which way does this go? This way. More glue. For a low temperature hot glue gun, that is really hot. Just as a heads up. Alright, so I'm going to work on bending this around instead of making it this weird shape. And then I'll be back when I have it bent. Okay, so I officially glued the arms / front legs of my chair. And then I've added a lot of glue in between the support system there to keep it together. But when it's attached, it'll look something like this. So now the next step is to add a little panel here as like what would appear to be a kickstand, but it's not going to come out from here. It's just going to stay right here. And it's going to stop like right here. It's not going to go all the way to the bottom, but I'm going to trace it out and cut it out and then show you what I mean. I cut 3 pieces like this, and I'm simply going to glue them all together. Simply put, I'm going to wrap everything that I've made so far in paper. So I'm wrapping the seat, the arms, and the back part, but not the back legs. Okay, once I had all of my pieces covered in paper, and I ended up paper macheing mine because it made covering this a lot easier, I painted it. I used black and white because that was what was on the picture that I've been using to build this. And then I just have my 2 back legs that were just left like this. I already have one assembled because this was my practice chair. And I mean, it stands, which is a pretty big accomplishment for me because most of my stuff doesn't stand without being glued to the floor. So that's something. Anyway. If you remember, back when I first started doing this, I made a mark for how high this would sit up off the ground. So I'm going to use that to place the seat. So I'm going to go here on the inside of the chair. Sorry, like this. And line it up with this first mark. And then on the inside of the chair, mark it alongside this, and then do it again on the other side. Now, when I did this the first time, I attached this part to here first, but it made it really difficult to glue onto this personally. So this time I'm going to start with the seat. But I'm also going to make sure that when I set it on here, this still fits where I want it to. And it does. Okay. So the first step is fitting this in here. And the rounded part goes towards the back. But using that line, if this fly would go away, I am going to glue this in. And then personally, I push my nail into the glue to make it stick to the part I'm gluing it in. You don't have to do that because it's hot and I don't want to be responsible for you all burning yourself, but I do it because I'm a rebel. That's why. No, it really does kind of help keep it in place. It might take a few layers, and you might have to keep going over it, but eventually it'll stick. Again, that is really hot, but it kind of helps sometimes. Alright, so I have this done. I'm going to add several more layers of glue on either side to keep it together, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I have that done, and it's pretty solid at the moment. So next I'm going to add this in, and it might take a little bit of finagling because of the hot glue here, but I'm going to fit it in here and glue it together. The next step is to add the back legs, and to do that, you put it on the ground first, and then on the chair, and figure out where it needs to go. So keeping in mind that it goes right about here, I take my hot glue gun, add a big drop of hot glue, and then you just wait for it to dry. I'm also going to make a pillow to sit in the back of each chair. So I've taken 2 cotton balls and I've torn them up a little bit. And I'm going to fold over a piece of a Kleenex and then another piece and glue them. Now, hot glue is probably not the best option. Elmer's glue or I can't think of the name of the other glue that is currently in my mind. Well, it doesn't matter, but most likely hot glue isn't going to be the best option for everybody, but hot glue is my best friend, so I'm going to continue to use it. And then you're going to need to glue these layers down too, otherwise those will get in the way. And you're done.